Good afternoon, everyone. We are about to start our February 14th, 2023 reg meeting. Hopefully you all got my late delivered update on the regs from yesterday. And so, Chris, why don't you tell us who we have on the line?
For attendees, we have Nancy Fitzpatrick, Lori McCarthy, Lawrence Lessard, Krista Wolf, and that's it for right now. And then for
I'm
staff,
sorry, who I missed one. There was Lori McCarthy and Krista Wolf, and I missed one.
Lawrence Lessard.
Oh, yes, Mr. Lessard. Okay. And
then
for our members, yep, go ahead.
We have Kirk Franklin, Kathy Campbell, Millie, Patrick Heron, Paul McKinley, Greg McBride, Gail, Deb Lesterneck, David Austin, Craig Ellis, and myself and Beverly.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Chris. Sorry. Okay. All right. So, excuse me. Hopefully you had a chance to look at it. I want to start with Greg. I want to make sure, Greg, I got in all of your comments. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so. That was the language that we talked about.
Okay. All right. Great. That was the DEP course meeting. Okay. So are there any comments on Greg's language in the DEP course? DEP course means a board approved, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, Greg, I think you win. That sounds like it's okay.
Okay, good.
All right,
Thanks,
that
Greg.
section
is. This is one question. So, the third line down when it says department personnel must participate in discussion throughout the course. Is that supposed to be course development or during the course itself?
I don't know, Deb. Tell me again where you are, so I can. I'm sorry, I'm not locating. Third line. Yep. Go ahead.
Down in department personnel must participate in discussions throughout the course. I think it should be course development.
No, I think we agreed that they had to be there during the course to be available to answer questions.
No, right. I know that.
I agree. That was we had that discussion, and it's not just the development, but they need to be there and participate throughout. But they don't need to present throughout. We don't want that given, and that's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you.
Nope. Okay, so it's when they were there physically at the course. Okay, I thought it was. We kind of talked about too. They needed to be involved in all parts of the course development.
We did have that. There was. I thought we ended up that they needed to be there and be able to participate throughout.
I agree with that.
But to get to Deb's point, could we just say must participate in discussions throughout the course, the course and course development, or as well as course development, something like that?
That's fine with me.
Okay, as well as course development. That's the language, Gail?
That's what I'm proposing, yes.
All right, so I'm just gonna, just to conclude this part, it will read, to be designated as a DEP course, the entire course content must be endorsed and approved by the department, and department personnel must participate, in discussions throughout the course, as well as throughout course development?
Yes, yes,
Or
grammatically, yes, you're right. Yes.
I
Yep,
don't think we do
throughout
as well
course.
as. I think you just use an
Or
there.
okay, as well as
During,
throughout
during,
course,
during. You can say as well as during course development.
as well as during course development. Okay, good. I'll make that change, and then that's it for that section. Okay, thank you. The next line, eligible courses. I'm sorry, eligible course means any course. Are there any changes warranted in that line? Yeah, just giving you some time to look at it, review it. No comments?
No, I'm good.
All right. That is okay. And I'm moving down to in-person course, and I want to make sure that you guys approve that language. Okay, hearing nothing. Also, I'm asking while we're going through this process, if you see an unhyphenated board-approved course, please shout it out so I can, because I tried to make sure that that was done throughout, but okay. Moving to section 9. If you can believe it, this might be our last review of this section. Any comments on section 9, credit for live webinar course? I know at the October 11th meeting, everyone wanted section 9 to track. I'm not sure. I think it was in person. Anyway, are there any comments on section 9 or tweaks to the language there? A, B, and C is fine then? Okay.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Don't complain, Beverly. This is a good thing.
I didn't say a word. Did you hear me say anything?
It was the wow. It was the wow, the surprise.
Yeah. Shock, really shock. Okay, guys. So for our next regulations meeting, I'm going to tally up at long last where we are in terms of the sections, and we can start pulling this together, because I don't for a full and final review. I don't think that there are many sections to take another look at, or even a first look. I think we've gotten through everything, but I'll have a full report on where we are at the next meeting. You'll have one last time to look at 3.09. It only took us a very long time to get through this section. I mean, this was a little more complicated, it seems, than the disciplinary portion of the regs, but I think that's because we were making so many changes to the credit hours, to the other requirements, and I think these are good changes. So, I mean, I guess we can move forward. David, if you're ready with continuing ed. And thank you.
Good afternoon. Everyone ready to move on?
Yep.
So I'm calling the February 14th continuing ed committee meeting to order at 12:13. Virtual meeting minutes. Are all the recordings up to date on the web?
They should be. They should be. I will check to make sure, but they should be.
Okay.
Because it's just that one link, and I believe Chris feeds everything into the link. So
Yeah, I
I'm
thought
not
the
sure.
last one, I thought it was ended like from last spring or something.
No,
Okay.
shouldn't be, but I'll make
So,
sure.
Chris, can you let us know who's online outside of the board on the call?
Okay, let's see. Attendees are Krista Wolf, Lawrence Lessard, Lori McCarthy, and Nancy Fitzpatrick.
Okay. And for the roll call for the board, I have Craig, Deb, Gail, Kirk, Greg, Kathy, Millie, Patrick, Paul. Anyone else? So we have 11 course approval requests. I really wish we were meeting in person. It would be a lot faster and more efficient than having to do 13 roll calls. The first one is an on-demand one technical course requested by Alpha Analytical. One thing I just want to note is that they've provided the assessment of learning 10 questions, and they've also provided the actual slides. So I don't think that should be distributed for these meetings out to the public. So if the board staff sees that, they can cut that stuff out or go back to the provider and ask them not to provide that unless we ask for it. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public? A yes is approval. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. The second request is an LSP taking a college course, which they passed. And I wasn't sure how they came up with the 12 credits. Is that the max that we can approve for a college course?
I think we might have to look that up. I think there is a limit.
Well, there's no limit from what I could tell, but it said 70% of the number of classroom hours, which would be more than 12. So,
Well, he's only asking for 12, so I will say that I'm comfortable with that.
yeah, for a full college course. So if no one else has an opinion on that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second,
Any discussion from the board or public? A yes is approving. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
yes,
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. The third one is a request from the actual LSP. The actual number of technical credits was not in the request. It was a live webinar last July. I don't see any proof of attendance or even the name of the LSP. So to me, it seems like an incomplete request.
And I have a
Well,
question.
I have the name of the LSP, David.
Oh.
I just didn't put it there for their privacy. There are the course that was approved for Connecticut was one LSP. Numbers 3, 4, and 5 are from a different LSP, so there are 2 LSPs. I know who they are. I just didn't put their names down. The New Jersey course, I had to go online, but it's 4 technical credits.
Yep.
Can I just ask a question?
We don't need proof. So you would give proof of attendance of these LSPs if this course was approved?
If the course is approved, I go back to the professor, who is the course provider, and I issue a certificate to the professor, excuse me, in the cases where the LSP has done this in the past.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? Have we decided that we no longer require it to be before the course is given?
Well,
because
you know,
I think we should just do away with that portion of the regs, because there's so many of these that are past tense that it doesn't make sense for us to make exceptions every time. And
right.
so
Well,
either we should
these
make
have
a
come
decision
up.
that it doesn't matter or take it out of the reg.
Okay, I just want to address that, Gail, very briefly. These numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are LSPs who are up for renewal. And so they submitted these courses with their renewal application.
I understand, but all of these are supposed to be, according to the regs, and I'm just trying to be precise here, are supposed to be submitted before the course takes place. And it doesn't matter who's submitting it. It is independent of who's submitting it. It's supposed to be presented before the course takes place. And all I'm saying is we should either make a decision to take the requirement that it be submitted before the course is given out of the regulations going forward.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to just keep doing this after the fact, and we've done, you know, and I think we have. Other ones we've said no to. So I don't know that we're being consistent.
Right.
So I think the opportunity to request a credit might assist with LSPs that find themselves in a last minute situation. So I'm just putting it out there that it imparts flexibility, but you're absolutely right. If this is the current practice, then we should not lock ourselves in by way of regulatory, the reg writing that takes this option off the table.
Well, we've already done that. It's already technically off the table. That's what I'm saying. The problem is that it is off the table in the current regs. And I would prefer that either we do one of 2 things. Don't be arbitrary and capricious in terms of approving these after the fact, which we kind of have, I think. Or we need, and if we don't care, which is also fine with me, then we should take that portion when we're fixing the regs this last time. We should take that statement out of the regulation.
So I'm saying the same thing you want.
We'll fix it with the regs, and consistent with past practices, I make a motion to approve.
Our past practice has been not to, though. Also, that's the problem. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's a disfavored remedy. Let's put it that way, because what the regs indicate is that you take your chances. Courses should be approved before the date that they're held, but the applicant, the continuing ed provider, the LSP, take a chance on there is retroactive approval. So how about if I take a look at the language in that particular reg and present it at the next reg meeting on the 14th of March? Would that be okay?
Yeah, I would like to do that and take it out. I mean, I think that the reality is we're not paying attention to it. We need to probably take it out.
Yeah, that's been stated. So there's a motion on the table.
David, excuse me, can I tell you what the regs say?
Oh, sure.
Currently? It says Request for retroactive approval of continuing ed courses, i.e. courses already commenced or completed by the time the board meets to review the request for approval are disfavored but may be approved at the board's discretion if the provider has
Yeah.
maintained a record of attendance and other requirements for course approval are met.
Do we have that for this? Do we have the record of attendance before we approve this?
I didn't I send whatever the LSP sent me? I sent you whatever the
We don't have
LSP sent
proof of
me.
attendance. I already made a comment about that. And the answer was is that once the course is approved, she goes back to the provider and gives them the form, and they fill out the form, which then becomes the proof of attendance. There's no proof of attendance provided with this submittal in this request. So
Right, but there is due diligence that will be followed through. That's
correct.
Thank
Just like
you.
any other course.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, any further discussions from the public or the board? A yes is approving. Item number 3, Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. So Beverly, were these requests from the LSP tucked into the reapplication and you had to separate them out and process them, or were they submitted as actual course approval requests?
Both. The LSP contacted me in the case of number 2. That LSP contacted me and requested approval for the course back in, I believe, November, at the conclusion of the course, because remember, this has happened these requests have come up in the past, and you've asked them to complete the course. So he submitted it, but we didn't have a meeting. With respect to 3, 4, and 5, those requests came in with the renewal.
And you had to take them out of the renewal and add them to this committee meeting.
That's right. I called the LSP for 3, 4, and 5 course approval requests and got full details. I went to the website for the Rutgers course number 3, looked up information. Yeah, so that's how I handled it.
It seems like they should have done that.
I was going to
so
say, I don't think it's appropriate for Beverly to have to do that. They should come in as a course approval request.
That's why I was asking. That's too bad. But
Well, I explained that to the LSP. I did, but at the time, it was easier for me to just make sure it got on the agenda. But I did explain to this LSP exactly how courses are approved, and I made sure that he or she understood that it's a disfavored remedy. I quoted the reg.
So moving on to item 4.
Thank you, Deb.
Same situation as 3. There's not really a cover letter requesting. There's no proof of attendance. That will be provided once the course is approved. They did have assessment of learning. They're requesting technical LSRP credits, which I just think is so sloppy. However, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public? A yes is approving. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. Item number 5, I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Any discussion from the public or the board?
Can you, I'm sorry, Dave,
The
would you mind
content
reiterating?
is, the content is the stormwater management in New Jersey, New Jersey stormwater rule. And there's no reference or explanation of how it would benefit LSPs, MCP practitioners in Massachusetts.
I agree.
Thank you.
Approving my denial is a yes. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Paul? No. I'm a yes, denying the request.
Can I just get a grounds for the denial?
The content is not pertinent to LSPs and the MCP.
Work in Massachusetts. Okay, thank you. Hazardous waste site cleanup in Massachusetts. All right,
Yep,
All
it's
set.
specific to a rule in New Jersey.
thank you.
You're welcome. Next item is on EBC offering that took place, a live webinar. I attended it. It had polling questions. I make a motion to approve it for 2 credits.
Second.
Any discussions from the public or board?
Yeah, the one question I had, this was John Fitzgerald taught on this, right? So is there any like, is there any possibility that part of it should be regulatory, or was there not enough of that versus all technical?
They did not request it that way.
Okay.
And from what I recall, I don't think he spoke a whole hour. So I think it would be a little bit of a push there.
No, that's fine. Just curious.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Any other comments? A yes is approving. Craig?
Sorry, Dave, I'm sorry. I just have a quick question for you. The content that was presented, was it technical in nature and not infomercials?
There was one product for the, what you call it, the boxes that communicate. Like,
Oh, the telemetry?
yeah, that was a specific company, but
Mhm.
it was kind of hard for me to gauge because I do a lot of vapor intrusion work currently. So
Okay,
I
so,
think it was a good course for someone just starting out or mid-level. I'm not really sure.
okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome. So a yes is approval. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Kathy? Thank you. Millie?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Paul? And I'm a yes. The next offering, let's see, 6 technical classrooms. I don't know about this one. It's advertised as basic understanding for non-scientists, and one section was New Jersey geology. I don't know. What did other folks think about this?
I actually
request?
did not think it was appropriate because of it was not only was it too basic, it was like, how could you possibly any useful information to an LSP in that course?
That's how I felt. I'll make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion from the public or board? A yes is agreeing with the denial. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. Item number 8 is
Before we
ecological.
get to that, can I have, David, I'm sorry to interrupt. Before we get to number 8, the grounds for denial are the same as for number 5. It's not relevant to hazardous waste site cleanup work in Massachusetts, or?
No, what did you say, Gail? Two
It
Too
was
basic?
basic. She said,
basic, and it was,
two.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. You said no, you said too basic. Gail, flesh that out for me, would you?
Too basic and not, and there wouldn't be a sufficient amount of value to an LSP practicing in Massachusetts. Does that make sense, David? Is that sort of what you were thinking?
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then request number 8 is ecological evaluation and webinar that occurred last month, and it's specific to New Jersey DEP's DEEP's guidance. There's no reference to Massachusetts. I make a motion to deny the request.
So can we
I'll
talk a little bit about that just for a second? And I know that, Deb, you have a lot of experience in ecological risk assessment. But my question is, was there any kind of underpinning to CERCLA ecological risk assessment? Because I think there's commonality across the states in going back to the federal mother document in trying to assess ecological impacts and resulting risk. So, I mean, I just, with ecological risk assessment being such a specialized field, there's not a lot of wiggle room in terms of how to get to the question as to whether a site is posing unacceptable risk to ecological receptors. So I just wanted to flesh that out a little bit more.
I did feel that there was enough of basic information that would be similar across the state. So I had in my notes to accept the course, but I'm open.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at the agenda, you get a different take, but if you look at the course overview, in the beginning of both of the 2 paragraphs, references the New Jersey Ecological Evaluation Technical Guidance document.
But is it possible that guidance document, though, follows EPA? Because kind of, as Millie said, I think maybe there aren't a lot of choices.
There are not too many choices. Yeah.
This
I mean,
is
I just wanted to.
I have experience in New Jersey with ecological risk assessment, and it does follow EPA protocols, but there are some quirks of the system under the LSRP program. But I think if it was taken as a general course, it would provide some value to anyone practicing or participating in ecological risk assessment in Massachusetts or anywhere else.
So do you think we should go for the
I
full 6 hours?
don't know the course enough, only see what you see, David. So maybe we ask for additional information, but what I see looks relevant.
I just don't believe that, there could be more science associated with new toxicity values or refinement of assumptions, but the model is the model, and akin to CERCLA risk assessment guidance for Superfund. For human health, again, the ECO is pretty much has not evolved significantly since the 1980s, 1986.
I agree, but the course provider is the one who's supposed to sell that to us.
Yeah, okay.
And
I just
they
felt
didn't.
uncomfortable giving a yes vote to basically totally deny. But I guess my recommendation is that perhaps we get a little bit more information.
Sure.
Just for what it's worth.
So we can table it and tell them to provide some more information about why it's pertinent to LSPs in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable.
I would support that, David.
Okay, and we don't need a vote on that. Thanks for the input. I only read the course overview, so I'm glad you guys spoke up. Number 9 is an LSPA offering, 1 technical credit, live webinar, and then an on-demand course. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public? A yes is approving. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes,
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. The next request, focus remediation seminar group, 7 different events, 2.5 hours each, 7 webinars, 6 presenters in each, roughly, with 3 questions each, and having to pass 70%. So there's a lot of assessment of learning. I think the content is fine. Does this get approved as 7 different offerings?
Yes. When I send out the attendance certification forms, I have one for each event with, a title and so yes, David, to answer your question,
Well, we can
separate one
approve
for
it as
each of the 7.
We can approve it with 1 roll call, and you can have it as 1 course number with letters after.
Yes. That is what I do, yes.
Okay.
The only comment I have is there's some duplication of sessions. Like if you look at event 1 versus event 3, some of the individual sessions are repeated. I don't know how many people LSPs are going to take these, but the point being, like, wouldn't necessarily get credit for event 1 and event 3 because it's not unique sessions.
Yeah, I looked for that, and none really popped out at me, so I guess you must have caught a few.
and they do usually do that, so that's not a surprise that they would have some duplication of people speaking.
I
I don't think it's a big deal. People aren't going to gain that much by it.
I agree. I just wanted to point that out, that they're not totally unique sessions or events.
Well,
Yeah, it's
thank you.
unlikely someone would take all of them. Let's just say that.
I agree.
So I make a motion to approve the 7 webinars.
Second.
Any other discussion from the public or board? So a yes is approving webinars. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes,
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
yes,
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. The last request we have is from the LSPA, on-demand and webinar for technical course next month. I make a motion to approve.
second.
Any discussions from the public or board? A yes is approving it.
I apologize. I apologize. I just have a quick question. What exactly is the scope? And maybe I just need to go back and, it's using simplicity to address contaminant problems under uncertainty. is there like a emphasis added on a certain portion of the MCP process that hones in on, I guess, trying to suss out problems in a simplified way?
No, it's just, I took his first course, it was geochemistry, and it's
Okay.
just his way of trying to get people to think logically about doing this. It's just his sort of cute way of saying it.
So in other words, doing what? Rendering a document, accessing
It's
databases?
hydrogeology. No, it's hydrogeology. It's technical. It's evaluating the data.
Okay, hydrogeo data evaluation.
I'd say yes. I think that's what this one is. It was more the hydro end of things than the geochemistry end. We already approved part 1, which was geochemistry. That was already approved. And so this is just the follow-up, which is the hydro kind of aspect of investigations.
Thank you.
Correct. Thank you for that. So a yes is approval. Craig? Well, we're
Yes.
down to Patrick.
Yes.
And then Paul? Did we do everyone before Millie asked the question?
No.
Oh, darn. Sorry, I lost track. Yes is approval. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie?
Yes.
Patrick already said yes, and Paul? And I'm a yes. And then there's 2 course approval requests. It was originally an in-person course, and they want to do a recording of it and have it as an on-demand course. So I guess it would be approved with a letter after the number. It's the same course.
That's correct. It would be 1676A.
Okay. Do we have to go through the roll call to approve it?
I would assume so, to approve it as 1676A.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve it under the new format.
Second?
Any other discussions from the board or public? So a yes is approval. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul, and I'm a yes. And then the last course reapproval request is from the LSPA. They revamped the asbestos in soil. It was a live webinar last month. Originally it was in person. So it's updated, not necessarily new. So I make a motion to approve it under the new format, live webinar.
Second.
Any discussion from the board or public? Excuse me? I don't know who's speaking, but we can't hear you.
Maybe, yeah, Paul, you're not coming through. Maybe you might want to put your comment on the chat, if there's a chat, or.
Sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher.
Still can't hear you. There's audio problems. So can we just move on and approve this?
I think so. did you already call the motion?
Yeah, I made a motion.
Well,
to approve it
That's right.
under the new
well,
format.
first, Chris, did Paul put anything in the chat? Because I know he can hear you, hear us. I'm sure he heard Millie. I just want to make sure he's heard.
Yeah, he just said move on.
Okay. Okay.
You said
Thanks,
move
Chris.
on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so is there a second to my motion?
Second,
Okay, any other discussion from the public or board? A yes is approving it under the new format. Craig,
Yes.
Deb,
yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Kirk,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes,
Kathy,
Yes.
Millie,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So that's all we have, and I guess the next meeting will be in March on the 14th. So I'm
Right.
adjoining, ending this
Yep.
meeting.
Quick question, Dave, before you adjourn. So in summary, the votes that we're taking and recommendations will be then codified at the board meeting, correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank
and
you.
as Gail reminds us every time, we'll
Yes,
vote
I
on it.
just want to avoid that piece.
So now you've been warned.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so the meeting's ending at 10:50.
12:50.
Right. 12:50.
Thanks, Dave.
12:50. Sorry.
You were doing so well, David.
Yeah, could you be in the Midwest, Dave?
It's my head cold medicine.
Okay, so Jamie's not with us. Kurt, that sounds like, are you willing to conduct the professional conduct meeting?
I am.
All
Call
right.
to order, 12:52. We have any draft minutes?
They should be on the website. Again, I'm going to check and make sure. I've already, during the meeting, emailed poor Chris, who's multitasking, to make sure that the link is up to date. So we'll make sure today that it's up to date.
Yeah, I'll send you that link.
Yep, we'll get it going. All right, Kurt, we're all set there.
All right, well, let's get right into, if there's any old business, the status of the CRTs.
So, I want to start with the oldest case, which is 05C. And that, as you know, is a court case in Middlesex Superior Court. Mr. DeCoulis is the LSP. That matter was heard before Judge Camille Sarrouf in Middlesex Superior Court on January 31st, 2023. I attended the hearing. You guys were so well represented by the AAG, Christine, during the course of this case. You know, as you know, she took over the case from the former AAG, and she is the one who compiled the administrative record, which was over 1,000 pages, I believe. Mr. DeCoulis was given an hour and 15 minutes or so to argue his case. He had chalk, and he had three basic premises that he felt were wrong with the decision. He said that his constitutional rights had been violated, that there was an error of law, and that the board's findings were unsupported by the evidence. Now, he talked a lot about Tim Jones' 2012 decision, and he contended that his due process rights were violated because Tim Jones, who was, as you recall, the administrative law judge in the case, didn't allow him to present certain witnesses and didn't allow him to present certain documentary evidence. Specifically, he wanted to call 5 witnesses: Tom Potter, Fred Sullivan, Jonathan Hovell, and some others. He indicated that there should be a statute of limitations for this sort of thing, and that after 3 years, basically, the board should not be able to prosecute people. And the judge did go into how long this case has been in suit. And the AAG, again, was very capably representing you guys. She was able to quote specific pages in the record. She actually corrected Mr. DeCoulis and informed the court of exact numbers, page numbers. Mr. DeCoulis also raised the issue that he had settled with one of the property owners for $80,000, and that should have exculpated him. So the AAG talked about the board being the premier authority with respect to hazardous waste site cleanup work, that its decisions should be adhered to. There shouldn't be any second bite of the apple for Mr. DeCoulis in terms of being able to relitigate old issues that have already been decided. The judge was concerned about the delay and why it took almost 20 years to get this case into court, but the strongest argument that the AAG had was that Mr. DeCoulis has suffered no harm in terms of his license, has never been suspended or revoked or any other penalties. And also, they talked about, the AAG talked about the delays that Mr. DeCoulis himself created by, seeking injunctive relief and during the settlement negotiations. The most important point, and I'm concluding now, the most important point was that Mr. DeCoulis agreed that you individual board members and the former commissioner, Marty Suberg, should not be parties to the case. And so, because the judge specifically asked him about that, and he agreed that this is a decision against the entity itself, the board, not individual defendants. And the conclusion of that was the judge took it under advisement, and we'll wait and see. But the good thing about this particular judge was that he had read every page. He was very knowledgeable about the case and its history, as well as, the hazardous waste site cleanup issues involved in the case. So we'll wait and see when he's going to issue a decision. So that's 05C. With respect to the other cases, I have not made any headway. I have spoken to, I've gotten calls from 2 of the complainants. I've spoken with 1. I've gotten calls from 2 of the LSPs. I've spoken with 1. The good news for all of us is that, and I'll talk a little more about this in a little more detail under personnel, but I have hired an investigator, and so the cases are going to be moving. I'll talk about the investigator's start date and all of that under personnel, but we've got someone we're signing on board. We're still finalizing the investigators onboarding, but we're going to start moving the cases again. And that's my report.
Good news.
Yeah, I'll say.
Thank you,
Any,
Beverly. That was really, really helpful. Much appreciated.
Any new business? None. Next meeting, March 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And we're adjourning at 1 o'clock.
Well, thanks, Kurt, for the happy Valentine's Day. I thought you had forgotten us.
Never.
Yeah, yeah, right. Okay. All right, I think, Millie, you're at bat.
Hi, everybody. Happy Valentine's and welcome to the LSP board meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order at 1 o'clock. So we have the agenda up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, so as Beverly let us know, Natasha Dix is now reporting to Beverly and assisting the LSP board. I just wanted to personally welcome her. And second, with regards to Mass DEP's Commissioner's Office staff updates, Mr. Gary Moran has been appointed as acting commissioner for the time being. So that's another update that I have from my end. And finally, Mass DEP is also reporting as a department to a newly appointed EEA secretary, Rebecca Tepper, and she's formerly with the Attorney General's office. And so that's what I have organizational wise. So at this time, I'm wondering if anybody else has any announcements to share. So hearing none, I'm going to move on to the next item. Agenda, additions, deletions, other changes to the draft agenda, and thereby adoption. So does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? So hearing none, I would like to move to adopt the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Say yes with regards to moving to adopt the agenda, if you could so be inclined to do so. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And David? Are you in, David? Well, we have majority saying yes, so we will, motion carries to adopt the agenda. Virtual meeting updates, meeting minutes. We've noted that we are checking to ensure that we have the latest link, so we've satisfied that. Next, item number 5, decisions with regards to the licensing of applicants. The board members were provided with 3 renewal dockets for discussion and voting. So docket number 1 consists of 72 LSPs who have completed all their requirements for license and now have a new renewal date of January 30, 2026. And I just wanted to note that in reviewing the list, I identified David Austin as one of these LSPs that are looking for, that basically are part of this bunch of 72 LSPs. So I'm presuming that David would abstain from voting.
I thought you were going to give me a gold star.
Well, you get that too. So we're going to move on to let's see, we'd like to
Motion to approve?
see if there's any additional comments or questions on this. And I'd like to get a motion from someone to approve docket number 1.
Motion to approve?
Is
Second.
there a second? Great. Okay, so let's go through the roster, and those in favor, please say yes. Craig?
Yeah.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes,
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes,
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
And Paul?
I'm a yes.
Thank you. So motion carries to approve this docket number 1. Docket number 2 consists of 12 LSPs who have requested a 90-day extension. And if granted, they would have a new renewal date of April 30, 2023. So if there's no comments or questions, I would like to seek a motion to approve docket number 2.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. So motion has been made and seconded. Let's go through the roster. And those in favor, please say yes. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
yes,
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
yes,
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries to approve this docket. Finally, the third docket is docket number 3, consisting of 1 LSP who has completed his requirements within the 90-day extension that was granted by the board, and whose license will now have a new renewal date of October 30, 2025. If there are no comments or questions, I would like to have someone make a motion to move forward, to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Let's go through the roster, and please say yes if you're in favor. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Gail?
yes,
Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
yes,
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries to approve the docket. So with that, I'd like to turn it to Beverly to further discuss the LSP petition for waiver.
Okay, so you received the LSP request for waiver. I have, as I always do, permitted the LSP to remain active.
Beverly, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, got it.
So the gist of the report, I'm sorry, I was looking at an email. The gist of the report is, the gist of the request is that the LSP is short 1 credit. And he doesn't believe that there's going to be any DEP credit courses. And so what I advised him was I have updated the course list on the website through January 31st. And I suggested he look, and now that we have this new DEP course approved, maybe he can take that. But I allowed his license to remain active until the board makes its decision today.
Okay.
Is what's being
Any-
asked even administratively possible?
He wants his license to continue to be active until he can earn the credit.
I think the
Oh, no, I
mechanism
thought,
is to go for the 90-day extension, and I believe the April 4th LSP conference that would be within the 90 days is going to be offering DEP credits. Maybe Nancy Fitzpatrick can speak to that.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
The LSPA is having a one-day conference on April 4th, and I believe it was sketched out that there would be DEP credits offered in that, and I'm asking if Nancy Fitzpatrick, who I believe is on the line, could speak to that, if there will be DEP credits in that conference.
Yeah, but is that the issue? Whether or not there are credits available, it is Mr. Lassard's issue that he doesn't, have the credit.
Right, but there's 12 other people that don't have the credits that are going for a 90-day extension.
Correct.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. But those people file paperwork and request it. And if Mr. Lassard, I'm not sure if he's on the line, but if he's on the line, of course he can join us.
Wendy Rundle just posted the LSPA did not say what Mr. Lassard wrote in his letter. At the top of the second page, we do not know what credits are being offered when, other than those that are offered through the LSPA.
Okay, so Wendy, which particular paragraph is it that you're saying shouldn't be credited to the LSPA?
Just waiting on the delay.
Yes, right. We are waiting. Yeah.
And I guess while we wait, Deb offers a path forward, which is going through the 90-day extension as a process. So if there's validity to that conversation after we get more information that Wendy's looking for, maybe we should talk about that.
I mean, he has the minimum hours.
The paragraph that starts with, I favor this approach. And then Mr. Lassard says, I am not able to unmute so that I can clarify. And again, I'd like to add, no one is, no attendees are able to speak via this platform.
Yes, so, okay. Oh, I favor the approach. I've got it right at the top of page 2. Okay. All right, but Mr. Lassard, you can submit something for Chris to read if you have comments.
I mean, I'll note that his letter, while making a request for the administrative relief, also in the last paragraph is making a request for a 90-day extension should that administrative relief not be offered.
Oh, okay, that's helpful. So makes me wonder if that's also part of it's on the record, if following through with Deb's recommendation that we consider this matter under a 90-day extension. How do the board members feel about that? And is that, if that's a path forward, we can take a vote on it.
Yep, Mr. Lassard just said the statement in that paragraph is accurate to what I was told.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think it would be the easiest solution here, Millie, relative to your question.
And whereas the party has incorporated that in the record. So to close out this discussion that Beverly presented, and we appreciate that, is there a motion on the floor
Millie, this is Greg. Before you move forward with a motion, could I just ask, isn't there a form that he needs to submit to get this and to present the credits that he has obtained during this renewal period? And I guess I'll ask Beverly, has he submitted that in addition to this informal request through the letter?
I'm sorry, Greg, has he submitted what? An application?
If you an extension, you have to put there's a form you have to fill out, and you have to present the materials that you have, what you have, what courses you have obtained.
No, we don't have that.
Yes, so I think so it's in my head, it's a two-parter. The first is if we agree that's the process, then that's just sort of yes, no, and then doing the administrative checklist, which is where Beverly comes in to assist us with whether it's something that we can, never mind, entertain, but also approve.
Okay, that's fine. That's why I referred to this as an informal request in his letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that because that extension or 90-day extension was available to him, that would have been the preferred approach from the beginning, rather than going through this waiver process.
Like a two-phase process. Yep, I understand.
All right, so board members, what do you want me to do with, do you want an additional, do you need additional information, or I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like we're affirming that Mr. Lessard can avail himself to the 90-day extension process. However, there's the administrative step of filling out the form and submitting that for us to be able to take a vote. So perhaps during next month's board meeting, his name could be incorporated in the docket that speaks to the 90-day extension request.
Okay. All right, and I will communicate all of this, Mr. Lessard, in writing. I want to note that Mr. Lessard is eligible for the 90-day extension because you have to apply under the Reg 3.06. You do have to apply for the 90-day extension before your license expires. And if you can take a look at his, I had been in communication with him well before then, well before January 30th. So yes, I'll ask him to submit a 90-day application rather.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Lessard just said, Beverly told me that I could file for an extension if the board did not approve my administrative request, which is basically reiterating what you just said, Beverly.
That's right.
Which is my question. Do we have to deny the waiver request officially?
Maybe you could table it, David. Maybe it could be tabled pending receipt of further information. I mean, and then you could deny it once you've seen it. I don't know. I'm just making a procedural suggestion for how to handle it.
I think that's the best way to handle it.
So this is just on my end. So his license is active. It should continue to be active until I receive word from the board.
Right. Well, Chris, what I'm going to do is we'll just keep this pending, and I'll make sure, because I had sent a specific email. Sorry, this is housekeeping. I had sent a particular email, Chris, about Mr. Lessard's license remaining active. So we'll just keep it that way until after the board has received the supplemental information and voted to approve or deny his application for a 90-day extension. So I'll make sure that I send you a special note about Mr. Lessard's license remaining active, pending.
Yep, and I'll make sure that's all set, so he'll be able to. Yep.
This is Greg. Could we just clarify that for the future, if somebody has the option of a 90-day extension available to them, that we discourage them from these kinds of waiver requests? It's not necessary when when that 90-day extension is easily available to the individual. He's only one credit short.
Right. And what,
I
and I just want to, and Mr. Lessard can correct me if I misspeak, but if you look, he indicated that he didn't think there were going to, the petition for a waiver was submitted because he didn't think or know whether or not there were going to be any DEP courses offered. And I understand what you're saying. There are other similarly situated LSPs, but at the time that he chose the petition for waiver route as opposed to the 90-day extension because he didn't think that there would be DEP courses offered within the 90 days.
Okay, I accept that, and I appreciate it. It can be a trying situation of not having anything available, but there's got to be some course that he hasn't taken. But
well, I suggested that he take a look at the new updated list because there are DEP courses listed there that are online. Right. And we just reapproved one today. So hopefully we'll do that. But I'll explain all of that in writing to Mr. Lessard.
All right. Well, thank you, Beverly. It wasn't to be critical of either party here. It was just more that hopefully we always would encourage them to take that 90-day rather than seeking a waiver.
Right.
Motion to table the request.
Yeah, I understand. All right.
Thank you.
I do want to, this is another licensing related matter. I do want to recognize that we had 4 LSPs who retired and during this quarter, and it was Ann Leffer, William Mitchell, Carol Bois, and Dorothy McGlinty. So they retired. There are, I'm down at reporting on item 6A. There are 448 active LSPs, and that includes the newly licensed LSPs. Millie, do you want me to just continue on with the reporting on item 7?
Yeah,
Very good.
Sure, all the way through 10B. Thank you.
All right, sure. Reporting on item 7, the January 2023 renewal report. This was a really large renewal quarter. We had 119 LSPs in this renewal. And as you saw, out of the 119, there were 72 who met all the requirements, and then the others who requested a 90-day extension. Now, we have currently 19 LSPs who have not paid or filed paperwork. We have 9 LSPs who are missing payments, but their paperwork is in. And we have 1 LSP for whom we have payment, but not paperwork. So just a refresher course on how these payments are received. You know, they go to a lockbox and the paper comes to us. And we've had no glitches, by the way, with respect to our change of address because the LSPs received a change of address notice. Also, it's on the website. Also, we were fully moved in and receiving mail by January 30th when these renewals were due. There is this glitch where the paperwork comes to us and the payments go to the Bank of America. And I think you recall me speaking about this before. And the the payments going to the Bank of America, then create a report that's received by revenue, Mass DEP revenue, and Mass DEP revenue notifies us that the payment was received. And we have to have both things, obviously, an administrative review of the application and payment. And so there is a little bit of a lag in terms of processing. For example, one LSP's documents were received on January 25th, but the payment was not in. And in those cases, if the LSP notifies me or Natasha, we check for the payment, or they send us a copy of their canceled check. And that's how they get put on the docket. But again, we've got quite a few, what did I say, 38 LSPs who have something outstanding out of the 119. Any questions about that? Okay, I'll move on to the annual fees. The annual fee invoices were mailed a little late this year. They didn't go out until January 24th. Again, a third party prints the invoices. So as soon as we got them, they were all ready to go. And those are due on March 1st, 2023. And we're already starting to get some of them back. Any questions about item 8? Okay, I'm moving to item 9, the exam committee report. We need to regroup, and I hope to set up a meeting before the March 14th board meeting with the exam committee so we can pick up where we left off. As you may recall, we have engaged a psychometrician. He hasn't been paid, so we haven't been doing any work with him yet. But I'll set up a meeting for the exam committee before the March 14th board meeting. I want to talk a little bit about the November exam, moving to item 10. Sorry. So we had 9 folks. The exam was administered November 15th, 16th, and 17th in Ciro, Lakeville. We had 9 newly licensed LSPs out of those 3 exam dates. We had 6 applicants who did not pass the exam. And so I've conducted 4 exam reviews with those applicants who did not pass the exam. Out of the 4 exam reviews, we've received 1 set of exam challenges. And so I have to type those up and forward them to the technical expert. And then, David, they'll be coming you and Gail's way for the board member review. I think that there were only 2 or 3 challenges in that submission, but I'll get that done. I'm moving to item 10.
I have a question, I believe.
Question? Yes, David, please.
So I missed what was the total number of folks that took the exam? I missed that.
15.
15?
15 over
Thank
3
you.
days. And also, I should have noted, because I have this in my notes, all of the applicants who were approved at the November 8th 2022 board meeting were permitted to sit for the exam if they chose to do so. So we got through those ARPs, if you remember, and contacted those folks, and if they chose to, they were allowed to sit for the exam. So out of a total of 15, again, 9 passed and 6 failed. question answered, David?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Moving on to item 10B, exam eligibility. There are, and I quoted the regs there, 3.04 section subpart 9. There are 2 applicants whose eligibility may expire before the next exam is offered. One applicant's eligibility expires in the spring of 2023, and I believe the other applicant's eligibility expires in July of 2022. And what I advised them was that the question isn't ripe until their eligibility is run and they can file a petition for review. And just to talk about past practice, the board has allowed LSP applicants to sit for the exam after their eligibility has run with a petition for waiver and a statement of good cause, being that there was no exam offered, and the board required them to sit for the very next offering of the exam. I'm bringing that up for discussion. I'm sorry, do I hear somebody talking and there's no?
Millie, you're on
I
mute.
apologize. This is Millie. Yeah, I think I find value in your providing us with the past practice statement so that we continue to refresh our recollection of how we handle these cases by way of the request for waiver and the statement of good cause. I'm in favor of continuing with that practice, and what I just wanted to ask was whether that's clarified in the regs as a path forward when we have these scenarios.
Well, again, it has happened before, and the board did approve the petition for a waiver. As you recall, 212 allows someone to petition for anything except a waiver of fees. So, but their eligibility, these 2 candidates' eligibility has not yet expired. So I guess they're looking for advice on whether to apply, to file a petition for waiver now, or to wait until after their eligibility runs, or I don't know, it's up to the board members how this is handled.
I think the most protective and approach would be to be proactive and apply now, at least is with the board. That would be my recommendation, but again, I think the rest of the board members should weigh in and comment on this.
Yeah, nice not to have it be after the fact, like what we said with some of the course requests.
Yeah.
Unless they need, it to be closer to the time it runs out to find out when the next exam may be.
Krista Wolf just posted, I understand I cannot speak on my behalf, but I request notice now on response to waiver requests due to all of the planning required for studying or hopefully not reapplying.
So again, it sounds that it is uncertain now as to when the next exam will take place. So having affected LSPs continue to prepare. I mean, my question becomes whether there's harm in petitioning for this waiver and expressing why they're doing it through the statement of good cause, is there any harm to that? I mean, is there like an administrative fee that is accompanied when you petition for a waiver? If not,
No.
yeah,
No.
so if not, at least having that in the docket, and it may become irrelevant if there's a test that's coming up and, but I'm not sure if we're going to see a test before spring 2023, which is why I'm saying that at least being able to get in front of that before the spring, which will be around very soon.
Well, I can say no. We've never offered the exam in the spring. At least I haven't. It's always been, if the exam was offered twice a year, it was in June or July, typically before the 4th of July, and then again in December. This year we offered it in November. In the past 2020, it was offered in December. 2021, it was offered in December. So it's not going to be offered in the spring. We've never offered it in the spring.
Right. So that LSP needs a path forward. So board members, comments with regards to any harm in petitioning?
Yeah, Millie, it's Paul here. I agree with you. Why not just put the waiver application in now, have it on the books, and then next available test, be eligible to take it.
Okay. I will. I'm sorry. I'm not. Anybody else participating in the discussion? Any other comments? Chris, do you have anything else?
Not as of yet, but it sounds like that answers her question, that as long as the waiver is in, that's probably the best path forward for her to be able to prepare. And
yeah, through this conversation, we're confirming that that's the pathway, so there's no confusion.
Yep. Yeah, Krista just said, I submitted the waiver request on 12/1/2022.
Right. Less than a month after the exam. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So that takes care of that. For those two applicants, I will notify them that they can file their petition for a waiver at any point right now. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a follow-up, is there any sense of, I know the exam was offered in November rather than December last year, but Beverly, is there any thoughts on when the next exam may be? Maybe I'm jumping ahead, but
no, I haven't been able to get to that right now.
Okay.
The next exam date, and I don't want to ever say to the folks who are trying to prepare, because we have 6 people who are eligible to sit, and that's not counting who may apply between now and the spring. So I don't want to overpromise, but yeah. And then we have to find a location, but that'll all be sorted out. But I'm going to notify these two particular applicants because there are only 2, I believe, who are in this position of having their eligibility run out in 2023. I believe that the other 4 examinees who didn't pass have another year, 2024. They were recently approved, so it's only an issue, I believe, for 2.
Okay. That's helpful. We'll stay in touch, and I know that you're going to be looking for the exam committee meeting at some point, so maybe that, and meeting with the psychometrician, so that may play into this determination for the next exam.
So Krista just posted, sorry for the confusion. Will you be voting on my waiver request today? I assumed you would be, since I already submitted the formal petition.
No, we haven't.
No, I don't think we have it in our docket.
You don't have it. You don't have it. It was a question, and it'll if Ms. Wolf, if you want to leave your petition as it was when you filed it with me in December, that's fine. If you want to update it again, that's fine. I'll make sure it's on the agenda for March 14th.
So is there anything else she has to do, or is she all set because she already submitted the waiver on December 1st?
If Ms. Wolf, if you want to go forward with the petition as it was submitted in December of 2022, that's fine. If you want to update it or resubmit it, that's fine. What I'm saying is it'll be on the March 14th agenda, whatever you decide to do.
Okay, yeah, she just posted, I have nothing to add to it. So it will be on the March docket, and we can vote on it, and she should be all set, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it'll be on the March agenda.
You'll be up for voting on March 14th. Okay, thank you. That was helpful. Okay, so anything else, Beverly, before we move to item 11?
Nope. Nope,
okay.
I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Okay, so David, if you don't mind providing us with a report back from today's Continuing Education Committee meeting?
Sure. The Continuing Ed Committee met today. We approved 8 courses. There were 2 that were denied. 1 was tabled, and there were 2 reapprovals. And the next committee meeting will be on March 14th.
Great, and as we have stated, we do have some recommendations for board action, and therefore I'm requesting a motion to adopt. So if anybody wishes to put out a motion to adopt these recommendations from the Continuing Education Committee.
Second.
Okay, so motion, second. And so therefore, let's go through the roster, and those in favor, please say yes when I call your name as an affirmative for adopting the recommendations. Craig?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Certain types of spills
And
that
Gail?
are, you know,
Yes.
even something small,
Kirk?
something viscous could be, whether that cleanup could.
I'm hearing a little bit of background noise. Kirk?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Millie is a yes. Patrick?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
So the motion carries to approve the docket. Thank you very much. And there were no other business items identified. Okay, item number 12, professional conduct committee report out. Kirk, if you don't mind providing us with that report back.
Sure. The old draft minutes for online. Went right to the status of the CRTs, 05C-07. There was a hearing, 1/31/23, and the result of which the judge is taking it under advisement, and we'll wait to hear the outcome. And also, a new investigator has been hired, and a start date is yet to come. And that was it.
Great, thank you. And seeing that there were no recommendations for board action, we can move forward to item number 13. So Beverly, if you don't mind speaking to items 13A through D.
Sure. So we had our regulations committee meeting today at noon. We got through the last couple of tweaks to the language there in 309, specifically the definition of mass DEP, 309, not section 9, and 309 subpart 7. And so I'm going to clean it up so that we can take a look at one final look at 3.09 for our next meeting on the 14th. And I'm also going to be able to report on what we have left undone, if there are any sections that we haven't covered. And then we can, that should morph into a full review, and we can really get started on this reg process. I'm hoping that we're going to push it through in 2023. The amendment.
Great.
Any questions or comments about that? Okay, item 13B is personnel budget and fees. So I spoke about this briefly at past meetings in 2022, but the LSP board incurred a cost of $10,600 roughly for the move. There are 119 boxes of LSP files and another 30 boxes of supplies that we have. We are working to scan and electronically create files so that the paper is unnecessary. One of the good things, the only good thing about the move, which wasn't finished until I believe December 16th, is that we got rid of a lot of paper. There were a lot of files that were scanned and we were able to destroy. The service that we hired, Dunnigan Systems, again cost $10,600, but that didn't include scanning. So we're going to have to kind of do that on our own so that we can empty out the boxes. But anything that's in the box we have that's post 2011 we have scanned already, so there are electronic files. We just have to cross-reference them and get rid of the paper. I was also told that we would need to hire proctors for the exam that took place in November, and I chose not to do that to spend that money. So I was, again, alone proctoring the exam for those 3 days, but I saved the board a lot of money, and we need that money for the exam. The final thing is the personnel. Natasha Dix has been added as a full-time program coordinator, and we are filing paperwork and settling on a start date for the continuing ed coordinator. The person has accepted the position. Today is Tuesday. Yesterday, I'm sorry, on the 13th. So we're getting all the paperwork in on that person, and I will be onboarding him or her, and hopefully the person also has to give notice to their old job, a couple of weeks notice. So we're hoping that the new investigator will be at the March 14th board meeting. So that's item 13B. Item 13C is online fee payments. Deb, do you want to give this report? Is Deb on the line?
She's on the line. She's muted though.
Okay.
I mean,
all right. That was that was an inside joke. Okay. So I want to give the report on the online meeting, and it's really important this time. We hope. Well, let me tell you what we've done so far. Since our last meeting in November, I have been meeting with the IT team. I'm extremely excited about this. We are at the stage now. Our last meeting was on February 9th, and it was a workflow meeting. And what that entailed was walking through what the external user will see, or the citizen portal. So folks will be able to register an account, and it was basically a session last week on how the user will navigate the system. So the first thing is the primary captures the contact information. So a person will sign in just like you're signing up for Amazon or anything else, with your mailing address, your primary residential address. There will be a browser feature that will correct typographical errors. For example, if you misspell science, you'll be prompted to correct that. You will have to, the citizens, those people who want to use this portal will have to, it'll be mixed in with DCR and DEP, but there'll be a separate listing for LSP. The citizen or external user will click onto that and capture all that information. There'll be a feature that will allow them to save what they've done and resume it later. They'll receive a notice of what has been saved. There are some parts of the application that are pretty detailed, and so they have, the team has built in the ability for 4,000 characters, which is 250 words or less. And we're going to see how that works out. What the team did was I sent them actual applications so they could see how long and how to maximize the number of words that are, or characters that a user is allowed. Okay, so if someone saves their work or stops the process and goes off and comes back, once they're in forever, and their name will automatically populate. So when they type in their name on visit 2, it'll automatically pop up, like Xfinity Mobile will say, hello, Beverly. If you're registered, once you're in, you're in. And the other feature, in addition to correcting typos, is that the user will not be able to move forward when it's, move to the next page until all the fields are populated. All required fields are populated. And so everything is going to be there. They will also, the users, be able to pay their fees. And this is the part we're so excited about. There is a third-party fee payment vendor that is used by the Commonwealth. And so if you use a credit card, there will be a 2.5% fee. If you use an electronic check, the fee will be 35 cents. And if you want to avoid the fee payment to use the online system, you can always mail it. But of course, we're going to kind of discourage people from mailing it, but you'll be able to do everything from apply to retire your license. Everything will be listed there. We're still, like I said, working on the details. And I will have what's known as manager tabs. So I will always be able to go in and look at Beverly Roby's application or Beverly Roby's renewal when we get a call. And that's just the manager feature. So we're still going through the workflow process and working specifically on the references, because as you know, the references are mailed to us in a blind form, and we've got to figure out how to work that so it can be online. So there are still things that we're tweaking. The next meeting will be tomorrow on February 15th, and we're going to see how the users will navigate. We're going to go through page by page and see how the users will navigate it. And so I'm going to close with a projected date for implementation and our It may be wishful thinking, but we're looking at June of 2023 to have everything in place. That's it.
That's amazing.
That's really
Yeah.
impressive. Wonderful.
Yeah, I am super excited. And I really want to give a shout out to the IT team that I've been working with, Peter Young, Sinai, and Jonah Cucci. They've been fabulous and working with me, because this is one of the most complicated processes they've worked with because of all the different facets, the exam, the application, and everything will be paid. You will have that ability, anyone will have that ability to pay everything online. So we're expecting no more paper, or very little paper. I shouldn't say no more paper, because we're not taking away the option to mail in. We're not taking away the option to drop off in person.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for this report back and our continued wishes for an expedited process. This is really great.
Yeah, fingers crossed, June 2023, we'll have this in place.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then we have the LSP board office relocation.
Yep. And so we're all moved in. The issue is space and the 119 boxes plus 30. We have, it's a very different setup. I don't know if when we go back to in-person meetings, we'll be actually meeting on the 9th floor where our offices are located, but we have everything in place, such as it is, to handle the board's administrative stuff. We have 2 designated spaces. You know, you have to, this new system requires that you book a special desk. You have to go online and reserve a desk when you're coming into the office, because the requirement is still only 1 day in the office. I'm in there much more than that, obviously. But it's kind of a complicated arrangement, but we've got 2 designated desks, just no storage space. So hopefully all LSPs were made aware of this in time. We didn't have glitches with people mailing things to the wrong address. Actually, it came, the move came at just the right time between being out of the Winter Street building on December 16th and moving toward the January renewals and the annual fees and all of those things. So it's on the website. Everybody should know that we're on the 9th floor at 100 Cambridge Street. That's it.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that concludes our board meeting. Our next LSP board virtual meeting will be held on March 14, 2023. And again, thank you to everyone who participated. And at this time, 1:57 p.m., I'm adjourning this meeting. Thank you and have a wonderful Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
See y'all next month.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
There is
Bye-bye.
an LCR that's established for a commissioner-approved alternative method for compliance with the DEC, but that is not cumulative to look at the other exposure pathways that a receptor would face, such as vapor inhalation or exposure to drinking water. So that would need to be established for cumulative risk to be allowed. And I guess that there would need to be a statewide standard. For reference,